الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. Indeed, all praise and thanks belong to Allah Azza wa Jal. We thank Him, we praise Him, we seek His help, and we seek His forgiveness. Whoever Allah guides, there's none that can misguide. Whoever He allows to go astray, there's none that can guide. And I bear witness that there's nothing worthy of our worship except for Allah Azza wa Jal alone without any partner. And I bear witness that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he's the slave of Allah and His messenger and the seal of all the prophets. Salawatu Rabbi wa salamuhu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi. And indeed the best of speech is the kalam of Allah, the speech of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Quran. And the best of guidance is that of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and the worst of matters are the innovated matters into Islam, religious innovations. For every newly religious matter into this deen, it is a bid'ah, and every bid'ah is a source of misguidance, and every misguidance leads to the hellfire. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He protects us and our families from that. Allahumma ameen. Dear brothers, if before we proceed with our khutbah, if we can ask just to fill any gaps that you have in front of you, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. So this way, as the brothers come in, there's room for them, inshallah ta'ala. Barakallahu feekum. My dear brothers and sisters, the month of Ramadan is the month of the Quran. And this is alluded to in the ayah where Allah Azza wa Jalla says, شَهْرُ رَمَضَانَ الَّذِي أُنزِلَ فِيهِ الْقُرْآنِ. That the month of Ramadan is the month in which the Quran was revealed in. هُدًى لِلنَّاسِ وَبَيِّنَاتٍ مِنَ الْهُدَى وَالْفُرْقَانِ, as the guidance for the people and the criterion between what is right and wrong. The Quran, my dear brothers and sisters, is something that we should read and we should ponder upon. We should think and reflect. What is Allah communicating to us, subhanahu wa ta'ala? And once we reflect on the meanings of the Quran, instead of just reading through it without contemplating, once we reflect and then we see the benefits of different words and different benefits that are derived from a single word even, then we see how deep it is, how comprehensive the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are. One of those phrases or words which we would like to bring forward today, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, to base our topic on, is the word which Allah mentions many times in different places throughout the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is al-laghu. Al-laghu. Or you can say al-laghu. Allah Azza wa Jalla, He says, وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنِ اللَّغْوِ مُعْرِضُونَ. Those believers who turn away from al-lagh. The believers who turn away from al-lagh. Allah describes in this context the qualities of people who will go to Jannah and they will inherit Jannah. And He mentions this is one of their qualities. So those believers who turn away from al-lagh. What is al-lagh? This is the question. Commonly it is translated as vain talk or evil speech, something of that sort. But the scholars, they have derived 4 connotations to this meaning of this word. Of course, they're all bad, meaning evil, negative connotations. So we should ponder upon that and see how we can manifest the practice of staying away from that in our lives. Because the Quran was meant for us to read and to ponder upon and to practice in our lives. So scholars mention 4 different connotations. The first one, or the first meaning, is that a person speaks without thinking. This is considered lahu. Whatever pops in his head, he says it. Doesn't think twice. And this is very dangerous. Because the Prophet ﷺ, he says, إِنَّ الْعَبْدَ لَا يَتَكَلَّمُ بِالْكَلِمَةِ مِنْ رِضْوَانِ اللَّهِ لَا يُلْقِي لَهَا بَالًا يَرْفَعُ بِهَا دَرَجَاتٍ. That a person, he may say something without thinking, but it will be something good, which Allah will be pleased with. He will attain Allah's pleasure by that word. Sometimes we say something, even a small word to somebody, a kind word, but you don't know the effects of that word. And how, with Allah Azza wa Jal, there is a great reward behind it. So this is one case where a person might say something, but it doesn't make anything out of it. But Allah raises him in reward. On the other hand, وَإِنَّ الْعَبْدَ لَا يَتَكَلَّمُ بِالْكَلِمَةِ مِنْ سَخَطِ اللَّهِ. That a person will speak, will say something which will earn Allah's anger. لَا يُلْقِي لَهَا بَالًا. Without thinking at all what he's saying. And then يَهْوِي بِهَا فِي جَهَنَّمْ. It will lead him to Jahannam. وَلِيَعْذُ بِاللَّهِ. It will take him and throw him into the hellfire. So it's extremely important for us that we analyze our words, because we are definitely going to be held accountable for those things that we say. So this is something that we have to be constantly reminded of course, in Ramadan and outside of Ramadan. In Ramadan and outside of Ramadan. That if we truly have faith, if we truly believe in the akhirah, in the next life, that we should be mindful about what we say. And if we don't have anything good to say, then we should just remain silent. So this is the first meaning, that is to speak without thinking. The second meaning of al-lahu, which Allah is telling us to avoid and to stay away from, and by that, if we do that, then it's the quality of those people of Jannah. Second meaning is any type of indecent, immoral speech. It's classified under this meaning. So it includes jokes which people make, which are dirty jokes, immoral jokes. It includes cursing and cussing, using profanity. And it includes also music. So this type of lahu, person may say it's easier to avoid than the first one, because at least you can think about what you're going to do and say. Yet, we're not supposed to engage in this either. We should not engage in evil speech, in indecent speech. We should not talk about immoral things. That should not be the communication of the believer. And one of the main examples of this today is music, because of what it contains. The vast majority of music today, my dear brothers and sisters, is indecent. It's full of explicit, evil meanings, disgusting, dirty lyrics, and as Muslims we should have nothing to do with music. Nothing at all. And we should explain this to our families and to our children as well. Because music, especially the one that's, the one that people run to, the one that's the most popular one, it glorifies evil things. It glorifies alcohol. It glorifies zina, fornication and adultery, drugs. This is what it stands out for. This is, songs about love and whatnot. Of course, what's behind that is zina. And of course, sometimes it also glorifies shirk as well. So it's music which includes phrases of shirk in it as well. So oftentimes people think that these songs, they don't affect us. We're just listening to pass by, to pass time, listening for entertainment. But the reality is, everything that we see, everything that we hear, it will affect our deen. It will affect our spirituality. It will harm our soul, because it has the power to influence our behavior, in our speech and in our thoughts as well. So it may not seem like that at first, but gradually, the person who is engaged in music like that, he will find his behavior changing as well. Because of this music, people become desensitized to other sins, like alcohol, drinking alcohol, smoking or using drugs and zina. And once this happens, we will be heading towards destruction So it's very important for us to be conscious and to be aware of what we consume with our eyes and what we consume with our ears as well. All of this is classified as al-lahu, which Allah says, وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنِ اللَّهُ مُعْرِضُونَ. Those believers who stay away from lahu, they will enter Jannah, بِإِذْنِ ta'ala. This is the context about useless, vain speech. In this case, indecent things like music and other stuff like that. So we should be aware of this and bring this to our attention, to our people, to our families, to our children as well. And as we said, this will be detrimental to our faith if we let it, slip into our character. And that's why we should also learn that using musical instruments, it is also forbidden in Islam. It's not permissible, and it's from the tools of shaitan, by which he uses to misguide people away from the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's one of the ways he uses to mislead people. As one of these scholars of the past, he said that music cannot be in the heart of a believer and the Quran at the same time. Either you are engaged with Quran or engaged with music. Quran will not coexist with music. The Quran will not coexist with music. This is what he said exactly. It's not. This is the words of shaitan. The Quran of shaitan is music. As well, the Quran is the speech of Allah, by which we have barakah and shifa, and we get guidance from it. So it's a huge difference. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He helps us to stay away from that and those things which displease Him and attain His anger. وَلِيَذْ بِاللَّهِ نَسْأَلُ اللَّهَ السَّلَامَ وَالْعَافِيَةَ. أقول ما تسمعون والحمد لله رب العالمين. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. We mentioned two meanings of the word lahu. Now we mention the third meaning, and this, according to scholars, is any type of useless activity. Any type of useless activity which is done to kill time, as they say. We live in a society where entertainment is a huge part of life, and the entertainment industry, especially in North America, it's bigger than anywhere else in the world. From sports, music, movies, TV, the internet and what it contains and so on. It stems from North America. And the people who engage in these things, they are engaging in lahu. They are wasting their time. We should ask ourselves, how much time do we spend watching TV? Or watching TV shows, which are useless shows, and for the most part, if they are in regular TV, then there's lots of haram things on there to begin with as well. How much do we spend time watching movies? How much are we on social media? Even if we are not on it all the time, whatever glances that you get, oftentimes you see things which are dirty. They pop up. They are on your feed. So all of this, we should ask ourselves, how much time are we spending in these things? And what is the purpose behind those things? When you find that there's no purpose behind it, then you are wasting your time. And time is a special asset which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us. Every breath that we take is special. And it's a blessing from Allah Azza wa Jalla. And once it's taken away from us, then we realize then it's too late, obviously. Like the Prophet ﷺ says, نِعْمَتَانْ مَغْبُونٌ فِيهِمَا كَثِيرٌ مِنَ النَّاسِ الصِّحَّةُ وَالْفَرَاغُ. There's two blessings that people lose. It's time and health. Okay? Good health and free time. So we have the time and we have the health, and if we don't use it properly, then we will take it for granted. Because they are both limited. You're not always in the same condition, in the same health. Sometimes you're worse, sometimes you're better. Likewise with time. Sometimes you have more time in your hand. What are you going to do with that time? What are you going to do with that time, which is a blessing on us? How are you using your time in this month, in Ramadan? 1/3 of it has already reached us. Limited number of days. How are we using or utilizing the blessing of Ramadan? Are we reading Quran? Are we benefiting? Are we praying? What types of deeds are we doing? What are we engaged with? The question for ourselves to think about. The last connotation of this word al-laghu is any type of sin which comes through the tongue, whether it's ghiba, backbiting, namima, slandering. All of it falls under the al-laghu. And Allah Azza wa Jalla is telling us that from the signs of the true believers is that they avoid all of these things. وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنِ اللَّغْوِ مُعْرِضُونَ. Those who turn away from all these type of evil and negative connotations. Again, which includes speaking without thinking, includes immoral and indecent speech, it includes useless activities, it includes the sins of the tongue. And in addition to this, al-laghu, my dear brothers and sisters, was mentioned by the Prophet ﷺ about that person who, during the time of Jum'ah, when the Imam is giving the khutbah, he speaks, and he's not supposed to speak. He's not supposed to engage with anything. إذا قلت لصاحبك أنصت والإمام يخطب فقد لغوت. Even if you see somebody who's not quiet, they're talking or something like that, and when the Imam is standing and speaking on the khutbah, then you have committed al-laghu, an evil action. And whoever does that, as it came in another hadith, فَلَا جُمْعَةَ لَهُ, then he has no reward for Jum'ah. He just wasted all his reward. That's why, time and time again, we remind our brothers who are on their phones and they're browsing or whatever they're doing, doesn't matter, that they are committing al-laghu. When they are telling somebody Assalamu alaikum as they come inside the masjid and the Imam is on the minbar giving the khutbah, they are committing laghu. You're not supposed to speak at all. Even to do amr bil ma'ruf, to order somebody to do good and prevent him from doing wrong. Like to tell him, hey, be quiet, it's Jum'ah, do not talk. You are not allowed to even say that. Because the Prophet says, if you say that to your friend, your companion, somebody who's beside you, be quiet, then you have committed also an interjection, an evil speech, which is laghawt. Laghawt, you have committed laghu, and you will not get reward for that Jum'ah. We don't want that to be the state of our Jum'ah, which comes once a week, for 20, 30 minutes we are here, to lose all that reward. SubhanAllah. So think about this, my dear brothers and sisters in Islam. Al-laghu is evil speech, it's evil actions, it's evil activities. All of that is in al-laghu. Al-laghu, which Allah Azza wa Jal, He again praises the believers for staying away from laghu. وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنِ اللَّغْوِ مُعْرِضُونَ. May Allah Azza wa Jal make us from amongst them. Allahumma ameen. May Allah forgive us our shortcomings that we commit on a daily basis. اللهم اغفر لنا ذنوبنا وإسرافنا في أمرنا وثبت أقدامنا وانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه. اللهم يا منقلب القلوب والأبصار ثبت قلوبنا على دينك. اللهم يا منقلب القلوب والأبصار صرف قلوبنا على طاعتك. اللهم إنا نسألك الجنة وما قرب إليها من قول وعمل ونعوذ بك من النار وما قرب إليها من قول وعمل. اللهم إنا نسألك الجنة وما قرب إليها من قول وعمل ونعوذ بك من النار وما قرب إليها من قول وعمل. اللهم إنا نسألك الجنة وما قرب إليها من قول وعمل ونعوذ بك من النار وما قرب إليها من قول وعمل. عباد الله، إن الله تعالى أمركم بأمر فبدأ فيه بنفسه فقال جل من قال عليما إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك وأنعم على عبدك ورسولك محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. هذا والحمد لله رب العالمين وأقم الصلاة.